Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the Chaddy the Chump channel. And yes, we are back with another Fantasy Premier League video. And Game Week 8 has just finished. And it has been a pretty decent week for a lot of people, including me, I would say. Anything over 60 points is a pretty good week in my eyes, right? And anything over the average is also a pretty good week. And this has been exactly that. So, let's get right into it. Okay then, so this is the team this week. 71 points, I would say. That is very, very decent. And a lot of star players. Some players didn't do very well, but a lot of them did pull up with big points, and that is how we got the 71. Defence did alright, half and half. Donnarumma, Gabriel, Esteve all bringing in points. Esteve obviously had that Leeds fixture. I do regret not playing Anderson over Rodon, but that is what it is. I was kind of expecting maybe a 0-0, or Rodon can pull out goals from time to time, so it's always risky to not play him, but it is still Leeds. But Esteve got an 8-pointer. Gabriel, again, an amazing player to have, brought in 12 points. I mean, you talk about consistency. This guy's exactly that. 12 points this week, 9 points last week, 13 points in game week 6. The only time he's blanked is twice the whole time. So he is a consistent player for getting points, and he's almost as must-have as Erling Haaland, but Erling Haaland obviously still on another level. But that is because he's a striker. But in terms of a defender, Gabriel is amazing to have, and the rest didn't do great, but that is what it is, really. Palace v Bournemouth was a high-scoring match. Can't complain about Richards. He still always gets DEFCON, but conceded 2 goals, so that takes a point, but still 3 points. So the defence did decent. Midfield, Mo Salah and Kudus didn't do great. Obviously, Tottenham didn't have the best game at home against Aston Villa, lost 2-1. He still looked good though, Mo Kudus. And Mo, the other one, Salah, not a great week again. And he, I will say under pressure, but it looks like he's going to be leaving my team. And it looks like he'll be leaving a lot of people's team. If you have him, I'd heavily consider transferring him out, just based on the fact that he's not getting points in, and he's 14 million. You could get other players who are going to bring points in much better than he is and be much cheaper than he is. And Mbeumo obviously scored. He got the goal in the first minute, and United beat Liverpool, so that was very, very good. And it was a good performance from Mbeumo. And he always knew, he was great for Brentford last season. And at United, people say that when someone goes to United, they don't become as good. But this guy stayed the same. And United look solid. And let's hope I don't jinx that and lose the next 3 games. But Mbeumo brings in the points. Haaland, first of all, and then we'll move on to Gyökeres. Haaland, again, just getting 2 goals, and he's a must captain. He is the guy who you're going to want to captain every single week, because although there might be players who might get more points on him on one individual game week, in terms of consistency, like we were talking about with Gabriel, Haaland is consistent. I mean, look at this: 13 points, 8 points, 16 points, 9 points, 13, 9. He's only blanked 1 game week, and that was against Tottenham. So very, very good, very consistent. And 14.7 million. That is going to go increasing high, you know. The fixtures aren't amazing, but I'm a bit confused why Aston Villa is a 4 rated fixture. I wouldn't say Aston Villa is a 4 rated fixture. I'd probably say 3. Bournemouth's a tough match. They're very good this season. Obviously, Liverpool, top team, and Newcastle away isn't easiest. But Leeds at home, if you'll not use your triple captain yet, maybe that Leeds at home fixture is tasty. I'm going to think about that when it comes to it. But Haaland is exceptional. Victor Gyökeres, again, another blank. You know, he's blanked the last 4 game weeks. He's only really not blanked in 2 game weeks. And that was against Forest and Leeds, who, you know, Forest were in not a great state. And Leeds are coming up from Championship. So, another player who is probably going to have to go. He isn't getting the goals. He isn't getting the points, unfortunately. And although Arsenal are doing well, they're not an incredibly goal-scoring team. So, maybe, although I am still thinking of bringing another Arsenal player in, and I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. But Gyökeres hasn't started great. He might catch on later in the season, but he's risky to have. But 71 points, very nice for this game week. We get up arrows everywhere. Obviously, our overall just under 3 million, which isn't great, but hopefully it gets better over time because 71 is pretty good. Okay, then let's talk a bit about transfers because although we are reviewing Game Week 8, we will also have a look at some transfers possible for Game Week 9. A few to consider is, of course, Mo Salah and Gyökeres, 2 transfers. There's a reason I rolled over, and that is because these 2 are probably going to go. I'm going to hold out on doing the transfer today because obviously we've got Champions League midweek. If someone got injured, something like that, of course, things would change. But as I'm thinking of now, I'm thinking we got 23.6 million in the bank. That is a lot. Mo Salah, the replacement, a kind of expensive replacement, but then again, Salah is an expensive sell. So, it's looking like it's going to be Bukayo Saka, and he has been pretty good for Arsenal, right? Got 7 points against Fulham, 8 against West Ham. These matches here were because he was injured, but he's consistent. He's on penalties as well. He's on corners, so that's potential assists, especially with Arsenal. We know corners, and we know that they get a few goals from them. So he's on corners, he is on penalties. He took the last one. Gyökeres isn't on penalties, which I'm a bit surprised by. But then again, it's Arteta's choice, and right now the top of the table, so who am I to say? But yeah, I think Saka is going to be a good choice into the team. Now the striker is a bit more tricky because there isn't really, other than Haaland, who I already have, a standout striker to get, right? If we're looking by price, Alexander Isak is 10.5 million, and he has not been consistent at all. You know, even the matches he's played, he got 5 points against Chelsea, but 2 against Palace, 2 against United. It's not ideal. I don't know, I think he's a bit overrated, to be honest. And I don't think he's worth that 10.5 million. A different choice could be, I think Ekitike isn't going to start really, or even if he does, 45 minutes at most. especially with recent times. Although I think they'll find a way to get him in the squad, but as of now, he's too risky. Ollie Watkins, right, didn't start against Tottenham, but of course he will score for Villa, but it's not going to be as consistent as maybe, you know, your Matetas or your João Pedros. These two are options. Of course, Mateta coming off a hat-trick, you'd think, oh, go for him. But, you know, I don't know. And it seems easy, doesn't it, to, you know, he got 17 points. Just go for him. But I'm not quite sure. He's definitely going to be an option. The other option that I like, barring João Pedro, is Voltemade. You know, Newcastle player. I haven't got a Newcastle player in my squad. I really have Newcastle players in FPL. But Voltemade is getting goals. He seems like an exciting player. And he might be a bit different to your Mateta, who a lot of people will bring in. But then again, it says here that Voltemade is the most transferred in. So is it really a differential player? Not quite sure. But those are the potential ones, right? But of course we are going to wait, watch the video on Friday, which will decide our transfers and our team. It's looking like a Haaland captaincy still. I think anything else is quite risky. I might do a 5-back, although it does seem a bit boring. Anderson will probably get DEFCON for the match away against Bournemouth. So we'll have to see. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. And comment down below your thoughts on this game week. How many points did you get? Who are you transferring in and who are you transferring out? And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.